Welcome, people of planet Earth and all planets beyond. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Josh, and ChatGPT, you've probably heard of it. It is a AI chatbot that has been answering the internet's most mysterious questions, and I figured we'd see today if it can answer some vintage clothing questions. Let's see if it knows it's vintage. So let's dive in and let's see if it knows what it's talking about and if it's going to replace me in the next couple years. All right, so I figure let's go ahead and start off with a fairly simple question. Let's see if it can identify how to identify a vintage t-shirt. How do I know if my t-shirt is vintage? Let's see what answer it gives us. All right, so let's see what it has. Let's see. There are a few ways to determine if a t-shirt is vintage. First, look at the tag. Yeah, good. That's a really good. The best place to start. Vintage t-shirts often have tags that are different from modern ones. That is true for the most part. Check for a tag that is faded or worn out look, or one that includes outdated information like an old logo or a manufacturer's address. That's not bad information right there. Not bad. It's not going to be super helpful in dating your t-shirt, but it could definitely get you on the right track. Let's see number 2. Check the design. Vintage t-shirts often feature designs that are no longer popular or that reflect a particular time period or cultural phenomenon. Look for the designs that are outdated or have a vintage feel, such as distressed print or retro logo. That may have been helpful at one time before, but recently, even Walmart is printing out, just thousands and thousands of retro-looking shirts. So this is probably not good and helpful information today. Check the condition. Vintage t-shirts may show signs of wear, tear, such as fading, holes, frayed edges. Look for these signs to determine if the t-shirt has been around for a while. That's not a bad, that's actually pretty decent information right there. It's not going to get you down to specific dates or anything like that, but at least, in the very least, it can get you to like an idea that this t-shirt's been around and it's definitely been worn, has years of experience. So not a bad one right there. 4, research the brand. If you know the brand of the t-shirt, do some research to see if it was popular during a particular time period. This can give you an idea of whether a t-shirt is likely to be vintage or not. That's probably not terribly helpful, but like with brands like Levis or Screen Stars, that would probably do you pretty good and get you pretty far down the road on that. Remember that the term vintage can mean different things to different people. Some people consider anything from the 1990s or earlier to be vintage, while others may use a more specific definition. That's not bad. Ultimately, whether a t-shirt is vintage or not may depend on your own personal definition and perspective. I don't believe that. That's bunch of mumbo jumbo. It's 20 years for sure. Anyway, not too bad. ChatGPT on the first question. I would give you a 50%. It didn't even mention single stitch or made in USA, which is kind of strange to me. Those would be some of the more obvious answers to the question the internet may have. If you don't know how ChatGPT works, it basically took all the data from the internet, I think prior to 2022 or 20 or 2018, something like that, and aggregates it and uses all that information to try to generate an answer for you and your questions. So not bad, better than I expected. So we're only going to give you 50% though. All right, so let's take another step up in difficulty and let's see if it can help us with identifying vintage Wrangler. Vintage Wrangler typically doesn't have hasn't had a lot of good information on it until my video on the subject in the eye above. Just not a lot of great information on the internet, not like Levi's, which has tons and tons of information. So let's see if it can help us with vintage Wrangler. How do I know if my Wrangler jeans are vintage? Let's see what it can give us. All right, so let's take a look at what its answer was. Number 1, look for the label. Check the tag on the back of the jeans to see if it has a vintage label. That's sure, but what's a vintage label? Wrangler has changed their label design throughout the years, so a vintage label will look different from a modern one. That is true. About the mid-90s, they went from a paper feeling tag to a polyester tag. So that's true. The label will be different. Check the style. Certain styles of Wrangler jeans were popular in specific decades. For example, high-waisted straight leg jeans were popular in the 1980s, while bootcut jeans were popular in the 1990s. That's with Wrangler probably not really all that true. Bootcut, like flare jeans, were popular in the late 90s. Straight legs, I don't think were that popular in the 80s. and high-waisted was, but that's iffy information. Look for unique features. Vintage Wranglers may have unique features like patchwork, embroidery, distressing that sets them apart. No. Number 4, check the stitching. Vintage jeans will often have a single row of stitching on the inseam, while modern jeans usually have 2 rows. This is kind of actually true. It's a single felled inseam versus a double felled inseam, which is more popular today. And the different brands of jeans change it at different times. I think Wrangler actually adopted a double felled inseam quite a bit earlier, maybe even in the 60s. The 70s. Was particularly with 501s, Levi's didn't adopt a double felled inseam until like the mid 80s. Check the material. The vintage Wrangler jeans are often made of 100% cotton denim, while modern jeans maybe have a blend of materials like spandex or polyester. That is true. 100% cotton jeans are typically a bit, they're much more common the older that you get. Spandex and stretch jeans are much more common today, though Wrangler still does basically all of their traditional jeans with 100% cotton. So not maybe a good generic marker, but not necessarily for Wrangler. All right, ChatGPT, not particularly good. I think my video is safe for years to come. This is not going to be your best source of data for sure. All right, so we're going to change it up a little bit. I actually went and got a question from one of my comments on one of my YouTube videos, and we're going to see if ChatGPT can answer the question as good as me. How old are these jeans? Let's see. I have a pair of orange tab at Levi's. I tried to decode using your label reading videos, and I cannot figure out. Any help would be awesome. The label reads as 134B73914 180 581M 7616 09 1777. Okay. No way. Wow. Okay, ChatGPT. I see you. All right, so let's read this answer. Based on the label information you provided, it seems like the Levi's orange tab jeans were made in the USA in the 1980s. That's exactly right. Here's a breakdown of the label. Style SF207 refers to the style number of the jeans. No, it doesn't. Color. The color of the jeans is not specified on the label. Actually, it is. The 0917 would have been the material or color code. Fabric. The fabric code 581M is not part of the standard Levi's fabric codes, which is true because it's not a fabric code. So it's difficult to determine the exact fabric composition. However, based on the fact that these are orange tab jeans, it's likely they were made from 100% cotton denim. That is true. That's a good point. The 518 or 581M is actually the factory code in this case. It is not the material code. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Date. The numbers 18 on the label likely represent January 1980, which is the estimated production date for these jeans. That is exactly right. Ooh, I'm starting to sweat over here. Overall, your Levi's orange tab jeans are likely produced in January 1980 and were made in the USA. That is absolutely right, ChatGPT. You got that pretty well. There's a lot of bad information in there, but the date and some of the other information, not too bad. Oh my gosh. That's kind of shocking. I didn't think it would get the date code. Okay. All right, so I've got another question here. How old are these Levi's jeans? We'll paste the comment here. I actually ended up buying these jeans, so I know a little bit about them. So hopefully you'll know a little bit about them after this and after a future video. But let's just see what it can come up with. It's a lot of information. See if it can understand it. The first pair has a leather patch with the following information: 503XXB. It's actually just 2 X's, not 3. The back pockets have rivets. Orange colored paper label that reads the rivets still there for over 70 years, etc. Second pair is a 501, has bar tacks and a label that says over for 100 years and has a 6 on the back side of the closure button. So let's see. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. Based on the information you provided, the first pair which I know exactly when it's from, or rough, pretty exact. First pair of Levi's jeans can be identified as Lot 503. That is true, which indicates that they were manufactured in the 1950s. That's so close. In fact, it could be true. The leather patch does not provide an exact date, but the presence of rivets on the back pocket suggests they were made before the mid-1960s, when rivets were discontinued due to complaints about them scratching furniture. That's exactly right. The leather patch does actually help with the date, by the way. That would be earlier than the mid-50s, or the early 60s, mid-50s is when they start transitioning out of that. The white rectangle label that states for over 70 years would indicate the manufacturer date of mid-1980s, placing the jeans between 30 and 70 years old. That's completely false. That's all wrong. For 70 years since the patent date of Levi's, it's pretty easy to use that. So, interestingly, it did get quite a bit of good information there for that first one. So let's see for the second one. As for the second pair, the label states they are 501s, which is the classic style that has been produced for over 100 years. True. Waist W32, L31 indicates the waist and inch measurements respectively. The lack of rivets on the back pocket suggests they were produced after the mid-1960s. Yes, the orange-colored paper label that states bar tacked at points of strain would indicate the manufacturing date of mid-1960s to early 1980s. The presence of a 6 on the back of the closure button suggests they were manufactured in the 1990s. So based on the indicators, that's actually false. This is a lot of junk, except for the lack of rivets on the back pockets, which is good, which is a reference to the earlier statement. These pair of jeans were from the late 60s, very early 70s. They were big E, so not super great on that. A lot of bad information, but the first one was pretty surprising. So you kind of have to understand that you need to have good input information, and so if it's incomplete, it's going to be tough. But I would say I'm pretty impressed with how well it just did. All right, so we are going to step it up a little bit. I have a pair of women's 501s from 1993. We're going to give it some of the details, and we're going to see if it can tell us how old these jeans are. Here we go. Let's see. My Levi's jeans have a little E red tab. They have a red bat wing logo on the care tag. They are button fly. 544 is on the button, the back of the button. And they were made in USA. Let's get some proper grammar here. And they have 0693 on the care tag. Let's see if it picks up on the date code on this one. How old are my jeans? Let's see. Wow. All right, based on the details you provided, your Levi's jeans were likely manufactured in the USA. I said that they were. In June 1993, they got the care tag again. They got the date code exactly right. The style number is 544, refers to a straight leg button fly 501 jean. Not true. The 544 is the factory code, which is a classic style produced for many decades. The red tab with the Levi's logo and the red batwing logo on the care tag are also consistent with jeans produced by the company. That is true. Overall, based on the information provided, it's likely that your Levi's jeans are around 30 years old. However, the actual age can vary depending on how frequently they are worn and cared for. Not true. The age doesn't change based on wear or care. That is completely about how they were used. Not bad. It's impressive. It can get the date code. It understands how to read the date code. Now, you have to know what the date code is and feed it the date code. But that's not too shabby. Not too shabby. I'm kind of impressed. So anyway, that was ChatGPT and how well it handles vintage Levi's identification, vintage clothing identification. Maybe we'll do a few more in the future and see what else it can do. But not too bad. I think I still have a few years left of relevancy. So if you go to ChatGPT for your vintage answers, you're going to probably get a lot of wrong information. So So stick around. Don't leave just yet, and don't let AI take over this space just yet. But still pretty interesting. So thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.